Today, I'm doing a conversion rate optimization review for Eurosporttuning.com. Eurosport Tuning entered a contest that we ran a few weeks ago, won a free review, and we're finally getting around to getting this video done. Our CRO process is pretty simple. We have a 200-item checklist. That checklist is based on tests that we've run, it's based on years of experience of running testing, and it's based on things that we know are best practices in e-commerce. We also have an internal team review, and we have people on our team who are automotive parts and accessories nerds like me, who know this stuff backwards and forwards. And then we have some people on our team that aren't auto parts accessory nerds and bring a completely different perspective to it. And we really like having that mix of perspectives. For this particular review, we went through and had about a dozen people look at the site. And then we also ran through our complete checklist. Now we're going to give Eurosport Tuning a list of all of our notes and suggestions. This video is just going to hit the highlights. And with that, let's go ahead and take a look at Eurosporttuning.com. So there's a lot of things that we like about Eurosporttuning.com. Some of the important messages up here at the top: guaranteed fitment, lowest price guarantee, free shipping. These are messages that work, right? This is information that consumers who buy parts and accessories are concerned about. What happens if I get the wrong part? What happens if I find a better deal later? And am I going to have to pay for shipping? So these are really good. We would call these maybe USPs, right? Unique selling propositions. Now, they're not particularly unique, right? There's a lot of companies in the space that offer these similar USPs, but they're good messages. We definitely like putting them right up top. This area up here above the logo, this top left-hand corner, is often referred to in web development as the golden triangle. So any key messages that you have, if you put them up in the upper left corner, almost everyone who visits your site will see them. We also like this really prominent year, make, model lookup bar. This is a great idea. This is how consumers shop for parts. And as a general rule, by putting it up here at the top of the site where you can't miss it, you increase the odds that someone's going to actually take the time to go through, do a year, make, model lookup, and then hopefully shop and find a part that they really like. We like having lists of parts by make as well. This is great for SEO. If you can have, a lot of times we find people will search on Google for parts by vehicle type or parts by make. And so you've got a page like someone searching for McLaren parts. You've got a McLaren parts page. You can show some social proof like Eurosports Tuning is doing here. You can show some of the brands that you have. Ideally, you'd also have some parts that are specific. And this is one of the things we identified in our review, is that we've got some make model pages or make pages that don't necessarily have any parts on them. This page has a really long description, and this could probably be cut down. Or maybe you can put an accordion style collapse button on that and shrink that section down. So anyway, going back to the home page, as we scroll further down the page, there's some more things that we like. A couple call outs to key categories, right? Brakes and suspension. I don't know this to be the case, but I would imagine those are really important categories for this company. Some featured products. These might be products that are on sale. These might be products that are popular. It's a great idea to feature those. And then we really like showing top brands. I definitely think there's something to be said for maybe just showing all the brands rather than specific types of brands. But again, it's a category-specific call-out. Exhaust is probably an important category. Scrolling a little further down the page, we have these make-specific icons. And again, sometimes when you click on these, you end up on a page that doesn't really have any information or any navigation that's specific to that make. So that's definitely an opportunity. And then down at the very bottom of the site, we really like seeing social proof in any form. This is all, looks like Instagram posts that are pulled in, which is great. We would call this sort of a hero, USP bar down at the bottom of the site. And again, just calling out the things that we know are really important, right? Free shipping, lowest price guarantee, secure checkout's a great one. 30-day free returns. That's not something that a lot of companies have in this space, so that's great. Newsletter, why not? And then down at the very bottom, so this is an opportunity as well. We've got payment icons, but they're kind of hard to see. They're easy to miss. So we would definitely, consumers trust and look for these payment icons. And we would definitely say, bring those up into the footer, make them brighter, make them more obvious. Anyway, going back up here to the top, there's a couple of things we don't like. So one of the main things that we don't like is that we don't have this free shipping call out pulled out and put into a really prominent spot. So you can see here we have a top bar in the HTML, you can see there's a div up here at the top of the site that's not really being used, right? And so the options here would be either pull all of those messages into that top bar, or alternatively, get rid of that top bar and maybe prioritize a little bit. So we definitely think free shipping is really critical, something that people expect. And in testing, we found when we put free shipping up here in the top left corner and we say how much the threshold is, so in other words, it's free shipping over $199 or free shipping over $99, we get a much better response than when we just say free shipping. Now, maybe the free shipping is on every order here. I don't know. If that's the case, awesome. Another item that we identify that would be a good opportunity, phone number is not where people would expect to find it. So typically phone numbers go in the top right corner of a website or even up in this top bar area. So this would be a good opportunity. Maybe pull some of this messaging up into the top bar. Maybe put the phone number up here as well. Something that we've tested that it has some impact is forms that don't look like forms, meaning this search input doesn't look like a box. It doesn't look like something that you would type something in. And so we have found, let's see here if I can do this real quick. Yeah, we have found just showing a border on a search box raises the likelihood that someone will use the search box. Now, the flip side of that is when you're increasing the odds someone uses a search box, you're increasing the importance of search performance. And most websites, and this is not singling out Eurosport Tuning in any way, most websites struggle with search. So you may not want to call out the search bar if you don't have a really good conversion rate off of search traffic. But just generally speaking, you want your forms to look like forms. You want your text inputs to look like input boxes. Anyway, let's scroll down the page a little bit. So a section of the page that a lot of people have on their website and we see often is what we would call a slideshow or a slider. And it's just a collection of messages. The problem with these messages is it doesn't necessarily get viewed. So there's this phenomenon called banner blindness that is commonplace in usability studies. And it's some sort of feature of the human brain that allows us to ignore entire regions of the screen and just pretend they're not there. And sliders like this one tend to be one of those items that we ignore. So as a general rule, we do not recommend sliders at all. We would recommend one image, one message in that image, and that's it. And again, the reason is by having something that's animated, that's sliding like this, consumers ignore it and either just pay attention to the menu bar and the year, make, model search, which is fine, right? It's not a bad thing. Or they just scroll right past it, and all these messages that you really want to get out about the products that you offer or the fact that you're having a sale or whatever, that stuff gets lost. So we would definitely say remove the slider, simplify it, and then while we're talking about the slider, on my screen on the device I'm using today, the slideshow takes up almost all of the area above the fold, right? So that's an old term from the newspaper days, the fold of the newspaper. Anything that's above the fold, you will see without having to open the paper. Anything that's below the fold, you won't see. Well, that phenomenon where consumers don't scroll, that applies to websites. And so when you have stuff that's important, like maybe some call outs for some key categories or some sale items or a list of the brands that you carry, that stuff really should appear above the fold. If it doesn't, it's not going to get seen by a pretty significant percentage. In some testing, we found 70% of consumers do not scroll at all, right? Which is frightening, frankly, but the data is the data. So anyway, we would say replace this slideshow with a single image and then shrink the vertical distance of that slideshow. Speaking of vertical distance, the header is also an opportunity. There's an awful lot of white space up here above the logo. And so an opportunity maybe to make this site just a little bit cleaner would be to figure out how to get that space, that white space between the logo and those USPs shrunk. All right, scrolling down here. So we like showing top brands. We have found a lot of consumers shop by brand in the aftermarket side of the business, right? So it's not people shopping for an exhaust system for their car. It's people searching for a Miltech exhaust or an AWE exhaust. And so showing those brands and showing those brand names prominently is a good idea. So we like having these brand logos here. We like having these brand logos here. These are all brands that people know and trust. We like having a large selection of them. There's a lot of SEO benefit to having links to all of these brand pages right on your homepage, because now when someone searches for vibrant performance muffler or vibrant performance resonator or whatever, they're more likely to find your vibrant brand page because you, as a website owner, have told Google this is a really important page, and the way you tell Google anything is important is by linking to it from the homepage. So we like having these slideshows for brands. I don't have a strong opinion about whether or not they should be animated, but we definitely think it's a good idea to link to brand pages and show the brands on the homepage. Right below, we have some text, why buy from Eurosport Tuning. This is a great opportunity to tell the customer about why they should buy from you. And the only messaging we're really giving them is free shipping, lowest price guarantee, secure checkout. Again, those are great messages, but we're not telling them who's behind the company, how long you've been in business, what you specialize in, what your values are as a company. This doesn't have to be a big, long explanation, right? It doesn't have to be 3 paragraphs and photos and a whole company history. It can be 1 or 2 paragraphs, or it can be a short paragraph and 3 bullet points. But we would definitely put some text here. We would definitely put an image here. I happen to know Eurosport Tuning has a shop, and they have a nice storefront, or at least a pretty good looking storefront. I would throw a picture of that up on this site and throw some text here and just explain to a customer who finds this section, yes, you can trust us, right? We are enthusiasts. I know Frank owns Eurosport Tuning. I know Frank. We've worked with Frank for a long time, or up until fairly recently anyway. Frank's a Volvo enthusiast, right? He loves Volvo performance. I would put that in here. I would put my picture on there, and I would say I'm a Volvo enthusiast from way back. Now, there's some risk there. A lot of times people don't like putting their pictures on websites, but we know from studying and doing conversion rate testing that consumers are more likely to trust a site that has human faces on it, right? So we would definitely recommend telling the story of the company, even in a small way, here on the homepage. Down at the bottom of the homepage, I mentioned this earlier, but we don't really emphasize these payment logos, and that's an opportunity. Consumers look for logos down here in the lower right-hand corner of the footer, and this is something we find in all of the testing we've ever done. When we put what we call trust symbols down there in that lower right-hand corner, we tend to see an increase in conversion rate. We just ran a test that ended week before last that increased about conversion rate about 15%, and all we really did was reorganize the footer and put some trust symbols down in that lower right. So trust symbols would be all of your payment provider icons. Trust symbols would be a review or review badge icon from a third-party review tool. So a badge from Shopper Approved, a badge from Yotpo, a badge from Google. And then there's some other cool tools that have reviews as well. And then on top of all of that, we have found some really generic-looking icons or badges like an SSL badge, a secure checkout badge. Like that stuff tends to perform okay. So that's a good segue. Trust is a good segue to the About page. We always look at About pages when we do conversion rate optimization. And the reason is a good percentage of your customers, and it depends on the site, depends on your brand name, anywhere from 10 or 15% of your customers all the way up to half will go look at your About page. And they will read what's here, or at least skim what's here, and try and figure out why they should buy from you. And so this copy is pretty good here. What makes Eurosport Tuning different? Like, this is a question that people have. We're asking the question and we're answering it. This is great. We're talking about the parts that we sell and that we emphasize. Audi, BMW, Volkswagen, Volvo. Those are the brands we really want to push, right? What we don't have is a picture of the facility. We don't have is a picture of the people involved. If you can get your whole team together and have them stand in front of the parts counter and take a picture, or stand in front of the building and take a picture, or stand in front of a car and take a picture, that's ideal. But if you can't do that, at a very minimum, throw a picture of the building up or throw a picture of the warehouse up so that people can see it's a real place, right? One of the fears that a lot of consumers have is that they're buying parts online from some nerd in his basement, right? And if you can dispel that fear by showing an actual picture of who you are, that's going to work really well. There's also some opportunities in some of the key pages. So we find that shipping and returns is a really critical page. So you really want to explain your return policy. You really want to explain what happens when shipping goes wrong. There's some good information in here, but this is not what we would consider comprehensive, right? So A good percentage of consumers have had issues with returns or shipping problems in e-commerce. The last time we measured it, it was over 30%. I wouldn't be surprised if it had reached 50 by now. So many people have bought stuff online and had a bad experience. So it's really important that your shipping and your returns policy talk about what happens if I buy this and it doesn't fit and it's not my fault. What happens if I buy this and it gets damaged during shipping? What happens if I buy this and I change my mind? Do I have to pay a restocking fee? Am I going to have to go drive somewhere and drop it off? Like, these are all questions that consumers have. Who's going to pay for shipping? Am I paying that out of pocket, or are you going to print me out a label so it's easy for me? This policy page definitely needs a lot more information. Speaking of pages that are policy pages, we also want to talk about the lack of an FAQs page. So FAQs pages, we tend to put the questions that consumers have, not only about shipping and returns on that page, the common ones, but we also tend to put questions that people have about shopping, like what is driver's side and what is passenger side, right? Like, that's a question that's sort of obvious, but people have never bought parts before or feeling a little uncertain may need to hear you say, well, the driver's side is the left side when you're sitting in the driver's seat facing forward. You may have some people who want to know, if I'm getting ECS brand part or a PowerStop brand part, is my warranty going to be different than if I get Bilstein part, right? So it's a good idea to think about what questions do consumers have that are coming up all the time, and where are we answering those questions? The other thing we really like about FAQ pages is it's great for SEO, right? You have people out there searching, like, what's the warranty on PowerStop brakes? Enter. If you've got an FAQ question on your list of FAQs that answers that, that's excellent. So going back to some of our notes here, we want to talk about checkout. We need to find a part here to add to the cart real quick, and we'll go ahead and run through the checkout process and just make a couple of notes. So when we look at sites, we're doing conversion testing and conversion rate optimization reviews. By the way, this orange thing that keeps popping up underneath my face, it's a coupon code. It's in an unusual spot. Doesn't mean it's a bad spot, but it's not typical spot that you would look to find this type of information. So generally speaking, there's a bar along the bottom of the page. That's really popular. Or there's a pop-up that takes over the page. Those can work okay. This one's kind of in an odd spot. Doesn't mean it's bad, just something to think about when you're doing stuff on your website. Is it conventional or unconventional? If it's unconventional, oftentimes it doesn't help with conversion. You really want your site to be sort of vanilla. When e-commerce, you almost want to make like a clone of Amazon.com or a clone of a popular site in the our industry, like Summit Racing's website or JEG's website or something like that. Anyway, something to keep in mind. So when we get to the checkout page, we like having the shipping calculator here. This is great. We don't like using the word coupon on this page. We're a little concerned about using that term because oftentimes what happens is when consumers see the words coupon code, they stop what they're doing, they open a new tab up, they go on Google, and they search for Eurosporttuning.com coupons or something like that. And so this can freeze people. So one of our tricks is to change coupon code to sales code. That way the customer still has an opportunity to put a code in if they do have a discount code of some kind, but we're not stopping them to go look for coupons. All right. I like that I mentioned the shipping calculator here. Sometimes having some reinforcing messaging here, like a testimonial or a review badge, can be really helpful. But one of the things you want to guard against once you start the checkout process is distraction. And so at this point, the social proof, this Instagram widget, I would pull that off the site. I would also probably pull the featured brands list off of this page of the site and just focus people on picking their items and hitting this checkout button, because that's what we really want everyone to do. We want them to advance to this page. And this page, this checkout process is pretty conventional, which is a good thing. One of the things that I really like about it is the menu is gone. So this is something that is really effective, is we've removed an element of distraction, and we've also simplified the page visually. When we give people lots of things to think about, it tends to slow their decision-making down. So when we take away a menu and we take away some of the other extraneous information and just focus them on checkout, we tend to get better results. So this is great. So I'm going to go ahead and put in my email address so we can advance to the next step. Now, from a e-commerce platform development perspective, the reason that this website is asking for my email address at that stage is so that If I abandon the cart, the site can email me and say, hey, Jason, you forgot something in your cart. So that's great to capture that information right away. I'll go ahead and put in my business address information. Now I'm going to get a shipping calculation based on the information that I just entered, and it's free shipping, which is fantastic. I'm going to advance to the billing step, and I'm going to pick my payment method. A small note here would be authorized.net is not necessarily a household name. And so I would probably replace this moniker with credit card or pay by credit card or just credit card and just keep it simple. Also, I like having the PayPal logo here. I like having the Google Pay logo here. I'm on an Android device. I'm not logged into an Apple account. I suspect if I was, I'd see Apple Pay here, which is fantastic. I like having the summary over here on the right and just reiterating what I bought, how much it's going to cost. This is very clear. This makes people very comfortable. One of the things that you might consider or people might want to try on the checkout page is if I'm about to abandon the page, some sort of overlay that says, hey, before you go, give us a call. If you have a question, you have a problem, you have a concern, call. So when I move my mouse to the top left-hand corner here or the top right-hand corner, I really want to see an exit overlay fire and say, wait, don't go. We're here to answer questions. But this is a great checkout process. I would just streamline the cart a little bit. So if we go back to the homepage and sort of summarize, there's a few other things that came up, but basically the big notes would be there's a lot of space up here in the header that pushes everything down. We would try and shrink that header as much as possible. Maybe shrink the logo a little bit. If we want the search form to be something that people use because we've got a really good search system in place, then we want to make it more prominent. If it's not something that we necessarily want to use, then maybe we want to just show the icon, and when people click that search magnifier icon, pops open a search box. Like the year, make, model, like the menu, only we did notice in testing that sometimes the links don't go where they're supposed to go. So that's a bad example, but we found some situations where either the page is empty, like this parts by make page, or it's kind of hard to see the options on the page because they're just sort of not very prominent. So definitely want to check the menu, make sure that everything that you're linking to in your menu is important. I think this is the About Us link that I was going to pick on. No. There's a link somewhere, according to one of our testers, there's a link in the shop menu that doesn't go anywhere. Okay, so moving down the home page, the slideshow, it's a common mistake. It's a common problem. Get rid of it, right? One image, shorter, one message, and then right below that hero image, either a call to action like visit our brakes page, visit our suspension page, which is basically what these are, or a list of brands that helps people feel comfortable, right? And helps them find the brand they're looking for, because that is how a lot of people buy aftermarket parts. Moving a little further down the page, these links, these buttons, these are fine. It's sort of a styling element that doesn't really fit, but they don't necessarily go to pages that are useful. So we would definitely say if you're going to put something on the homepage and you're going to give it this much visual space, you want to link to a page that has a lot of really good information on it. Having a why buy section on the homepage, we have tested this. It works. It's good for a small lift and conversion, but you've got to put some text here. You've got to put a picture here. You've got to put some bullet points here. Down at the very bottom, in the bottom right-hand corner here, again, this is an area where we're going to put trust symbols. We really want to put all of the different brands or all of the different payment providers that we work with. We can put review badges here. We can put any memberships we have, so like a SEMA member badge or a Auto Care Association member badge. Those can be meaningful. Even if consumers don't know what the heck those things are, the fact that they're official looking and corporate looking tends to make people trust the site more. My last note would be to thank Eurosport Tuning and thank Frank for entering our contest and winning this free CRO review. It's not always fun to have people tear your site apart. And so, I hope that this review is something that's educational for everyone. And I hope that if you're watching this and you think, wow, this is a great review, I want a site review like this for my website, that you contact us. You can go to sporkmarketing.com. You can check us out there. And these site reviews are fairly affordable and don't really take us a lot of time to turn around. So, yeah, anyway, thanks so much for watching this whole video. And I look forward to speaking with you if we can help you with the conversion rate optimization review for your site. Thank you.